These fires went for something like 5 weeks, and so we were sort of the last night of big impact.
The bushfire comes through, it's a real quick high heat. The cones open up and it releases the seeds.
So once that tree dies at the top, it'll fall and the whole tree be gone.
I'm determined to make it happen for 2022 because it's a 65-year tradition. It's a rite of passage in this town.
Make sure that our fishermen go out there and get a bountiful catch and return home safely.
We knew on that day that we weren't going to miss this. You could be lucky as fires jump around, but it was coming. And so we'd probably known that for a few days. I don't know that we understood the force of the fire fueled by a northwesterly and the impact of the southerly. We didn't understand that it would do what it did.
Papa, come here.
These fires went for something like 5 weeks, and so we were sort of the last night of big impact. I think the intensity of the fire really has burned some of these trees such that they'll probably never recover. We were working for what you'd call some sort of normal fire, where you would leave for maybe as little as 10 minutes and then come back as the fire's gone through the canopy. But the nature of what happened with us here was something different, and intensity of the heat, the intensity of the wind, the collapsing of that cloud that just drove the fire so differently than any normal fire. So we had no chance really, but we were as prepared as we could have been. Hey Cooper, come, good boy. The cicadas, they seem to have been around for a good 6 to 8 weeks. I think we know everything there is to know about cicadas because we just Googled how long do they live, how long do they make all this noise. So they were on steroids this summer. 2 or 3 weeks after the fire, this beautiful sign appeared. And we just were gobsmacked. It was like, where did that come from? Who could have done that? So the bushfire that we had gave everyone a reason to come out and help, and they did. Yeah, now, as you said, it's very quiet. It's much more pleasant. I wonder how long till my view across the river will be recovered. There's a lot of, greenery, but there's also still a lot of black. I just think people can probably find themselves a little bit when they're away here and without the distractions of city and all that. They're often here with other family members or other friends, so it's just a good opportunity to do what I used to say, it was like camping without tents, because you can do all the things you can do camping, like have a fire. At the end of the day, you get to go and sleep in your own comfy bed, not in a tent. I think we've moved pretty quickly in terms of getting to where we've got to. We've still got another big year in front of us, and when we're in our home, that will be the end for us. That's the goal.
The Husky Pub is on a headland that juts into Jervis Bay. It's one of the most scenic spots of any hospitality business in Australia. It was built in 1936. 2020 was a challenging year. Challenging financially, obviously, with the fires, and then we were closed through COVID. But more challenging was supporting the community and supporting our staff who are members of the community. It's distressing for people to face a very uncertain future. So we built the pavilion, and what we found over the summer, it's a significantly better patron experience. So whereas the hotel was very crowded, now people are spread over a much bigger area, and so for patrons and for our staff, it's a much more relaxed experience and a great place to enjoy Jervis Bay, where you can have a fish, a swim, or go for a walk on the beach.
It's times like this you really get a different perspective on the place when you've got the whole joint to yourself, pretty much. We are a very popular tourism destination, but we also get a lot of time down here where you can have the whole of Jervis Bay to yourself midweek. There you go. Don't even need bait. Got a little live well in the back there full of slimy mackerels, and hopefully we'll go and turn that into a couple of kingfish for dinner. It's just one of those moments that you get in between weather fronts this time of year. Weather goes north, weather goes south, but today, weather goes glass, and today's the day to be out here. Oh yeah, that's a good one actually. They're the hardest fighting fish in the ocean some days, mate. Yeah, it's a good one, mate. It's a good one. There he comes now. You just look down there in the water. There's a Jervis Bay kingfish. Probably longer term locals that like it to be a sleepy little coastal village. That's just not the reality. And the reality is, you know, our communities really depend on our vibrant tourism industries. And it's such a good place to come and connect with the natural world too. Thankfully, we just don't have the development like the North Coast has with marinas and high-rise right on the sea. What happened in 2001, it started up on the top of the escarpment behind us with a lightning strike. The fire basically burnt to the sea. So, you know, some of us learnt lessons off that. You could see what was going to happen. We hadn't had rain here since March up to last year, right at the end of that El Nino drought. Really prolonged dry period, and the ground was just, you could tell, you know, it was going to happen. Like it was just a given. It's a signature landmark for the Shoalhaven. You can see the sandstone layers here that have been faulted and uplifted over the years. It's an amazing piece of country. There is a real long history here of successful environmental activism, and for good reason. You look at Murray's Beach, the car park there, that could have been a nuclear power plant in the 60s. You look back over there at Kalala, they could have had a steelworks on a 6,500 acre site, and next to that a petrochemical complex. We're really fortunate that a lot of people had that vision to sort of fight to preserve this place.
Once that tree dies at the top, it'll fall and the whole tree be gone.
Fortunately, we didn't get the direct fires, but we certainly got a lot of the smoke. The other thing that happened was that, you know, the South Coast as a tourist precinct was off everyone's radar, you know, no matter where you were, because the perception was that there was fires everywhere. So that period of December 19, going through to, you know, into January, etc., turnover was obviously down and things weren't looking too good, and purely because people weren't travelling, and a big percentage of our market is that self-drive tourist market. The population of Shoalhaven Heads swells from about a normal 3,000 to 4,000 to 10,000 to 12,000. Our tourists, when we go overseas, we spend $60 billion. When international tourists come to Australia, they only spend $40 billion. There's about a 50% difference. So if we've got those people in Sydney with nowhere to go but South Coast, that created a tremendous bubble for us. People are discovering the regions. They are discovering the diversity. One of the biggest assets we've got in towns like Shoalhaven Heads is our localhood. You know, the characters, the fishermen. Sometimes we forget that localhood, and of course we're, you know, I'm a bit biased here when I say it, but the best locals are the pub up the road, mate.
The Botanic Garden started back in 2007 when a couple of neighbours had an idea to do something with a bit of council land that wasn't being utilised for anything in particular. It was just a bare paddock with a couple of bangalow gums, a couple of other advanced trees on here, and we had the idea that we could turn it into a nice garden. This one here is our Banksia plagiocarpa. We've had a couple of these in the ground that we've lost over the years. We're actually collecting seed off this one now and propagating this one as well, but it's got a very unusual flower and beautiful new growth over the whole plant. We'll pick a cone off at this stage here where it's dry, and then when you burn it, they'll open up straight away. The bushfire comes through, it's a real quick high heat that releases the cones open up and it releases the seeds disperse everywhere and then they just self-germinate. You could probably get, you know, maybe 50 seeds out of one cone, maybe more, depending on the size of the cone. And then we put them in our little storage container, which goes into our seed bank. Them you want 15 them you want 5. The plant sale is very important every year because it's one of our main sources of income.
So if I write $5 for the small and $10 for the large.
Our own money to do smaller things, what we want to do, comes from plant sales. All the ferns are going to go in this area, Trace, so we'll put them in rows so you can walk between them.
Well, most of the labels will give you where it should be planted, whether it should be sun or shade, just to be part of the community, and I like a bit of gardening and not really got green thumbs, but you know, it's fun. It's a good bunch of people to work with.
Take those grevilleas out and put them down the other side of the Westringers.
Yep, I can do that.
We've got the new nursery up and running. It's been going for about 6-8 months now, and it's our first sale out of the new nursery, so we're pretty excited to see how it goes.
We're a volunteer organisation, so we need to raise money. Propagating plants and selling them is a rather important source of income for what we do. Look at that Callangutty, keeping an eye on us. Crystal clear sky at the backdrop, perfect day, yes.
To see it evolve into what it is now is a great achievement, not just for me, but for all our volunteers that have been involved. They should be so proud of what they've achieved.
My name's Vic Channel. I'm a Marmering man. I'm the Deputy Chair of the Ulladulla Aboriginal Lands Council. Today we're down here at the western side of Barril Lake, south of Ulladulla, and this is one of the areas that was actually a hazard reduction burn when the fires come through 12 months ago. As we can see in this area, there's a lot of trees that have been very charred or scorched high up. There's a lot of low foliage coming out of the trees, which is not good. All these shoots that have come out the bottom, they'll all grow down the bottom here and it'll make the tree die at the top. So once that tree dies at the top, it'll fall and the whole tree be gone. Because of the hot fire, we don't have much here except for weeds and non-native species that shouldn't be growing in this area. Through the Aboriginal Lands Council and other areas, we've started to adapt the method of the cultural burning or the cool burning process. The results from that, it speaks for itself. We have a lot more success in growing back our native species that are meant to be in that area, and it also keeps our country clean.
This is where I needed and wanted to build a company of my dreams. I arrived in the Shoalhaven in the late 80s, and I immediately knew that this was the place for me. Get you to take the parachute cover off now. We're fundamentally an engineering-based company that fell into aviation. Aviation's always been a part of what we do. We've got a fabulous location here. This is where I needed and wanted to build a company of my dreams.
Dreams really do come true in the Shoalhaven. I think people are attracted here to the lifestyle, affordable housing, our beautiful beaches. You'll have an incredible work-life balance, and our community will be richer for it.
Mum and Dad started the business back in 1977, from very humble beginnings to make water treatment chemicals. That's still the backbone of the company, water treatment chemicals, and now we've diversified into cleaning chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and a lot of other industrial chemicals for the Australian market. The community's had it tough. Now Chem's obviously been able to make a lot of hand sanitizer, so we were able to pivot and make up for that major loss of business. So by, I guess, keeping the business strong and keeping the business diversified over the years, we're actually able to still make other products that became obviously really needed in 2020. That was very positive for our business.
Each generation of those family businesses take it to a new level, and as a result we have this incredible base of established businesses who are employing lots of people, doing really well, and mentoring the businesses around them.
I guess it's a little bit about the serendipity, really, why I'm here in the Shoalhaven. And that extends back 22 years ago after having done a lot of marine research and seaweeds, but looking at quality of life for my new family. Yeah, that's a really good quality run too, Alex. We're getting good at making lots of this fast. Our seaweed farming is onshore in giant pools that we pump the salt water into, and that's great because we can grow really protein-rich, controlled cultures of seaweed there. But there's also opportunity for farming offshore on ropes. Manildra Group are producing masses of carbon dioxide from their fermentation process as well as nutrients. I could recover all of the nutrient from the Manildra plant, which is huge, on a 3-hectare seaweed farm. and grow seaweed at 50 times the rate of other land crops.
This is what's called the starch control room, where the people in this room can sort of monitor all the activities in the starch plant. Manilda is a privately owned Australian company. It's owned by the Allan family. This site is one of the biggest wheat starch plants in the world. We've built a world-class beverage-grade alcohol plant in the last few years.
It currently produces about 90 million litres a year of beverage-grade alcohol. That alcohol we supply a fair part of the domestic market, but we also export across the world. Some of the shipments are as large as 4 million litres a year that go out by bulk tanker, right down to a drum of alcohol for our boutique distiller.
We're a big employer in the community. We've been here for many years. We intend to continue to be here for many years in the future.
And of course, a successful business community means they can give back to the charities that operate in the Shoalhaven. So it closes the whole circle that the businesses are well supported, they bring people on, they train them, they make themselves profitable and then help the community with the profits from their business.
Well, that's what we try to be, and we do that by working closely with the community.
I don't think any of us could have foreseen the events of 2020. Businesses were already feeling it from the drought, even those not directly in agriculture, but the trickle-down effect of that was having an impact.
The drought was hard on Australia, obviously, had an impact on the whole of Australia, and it did for this company because of sourcing of wheat. We source wheat mainly from all over New South Wales, and then eventually that had to take place outside of Australian waters, mainly due to the protein content of the wheat, and we had to keep the plant running to a suitable level. Also, you've got to consider the farmers themselves, doing it tough for many, many years, and then this big drought hit and it was devastating for them as well. Hopefully that's turned the corner now.
It's 8:45 here at Triple U. Chance of Beck broadcasting live this morning from Berry Street, Nowra. This day music, Beck, the 18th of
Since the bushfires, we've made a big effort to take the van out to the towns and villages that have been affected and talk to the people of those villages and see what they've been going through. We're all there to support each other, and it be through the community radio and what we do as a volunteer thing to help people get through these things. I think it's absolutely crucial.
We had the busiest fire season, an unprecedented fire season. Never seen anything to this scale ever before. We're very proud to have pioneered the bushfire scanning capability for initial customer was RFS. Now we deliver that to every state of the country. We map fires from high altitude. We take this so seriously because we know that lives are a threat, houses are a threat, properties are a threat.
If you look back and you see the whole calamity of the last couple of years, it's quite enormous. But you've just got to take each day as it comes and one step in front of the other. And then when you look back as well, then you realise, wow, we've come a long way.
I'm determined to make it happen for 2022 because it's a 65-year tradition. I think that when we were in trouble recently, that made people step forward and step up to make sure that this festival continues. We're into our 63rd year this year, so it's, you know, it's iconic.
It's been an horrendous 2020. We started off with bushfires and the town really suffered for the first 3 months of the year. Then all of a sudden there was a virus across the world.
It was a major blow because it's just something that we love here and it's synonymous with Ulladulla. I think the festival was something to look forward to, so the timing of it would have been great as a community connectivity, community spirit event. So it was a real devastating blow for the community when that was cancelled.
Yeah, so I guess the one good thing is that we still will go ahead with the actual blessing of the fleet. So that's a really great thing for the community to be able to be involved in and get to know about why the fishing community does that.
It's so important because it's been a tradition that's gone on for the last 65 years. We've got a patron saint, which is St. Peter. It's very special to the Italian community and the town itself because we just want to make sure that we bless our boats, we bless their families and make sure that our fishermen go out there and get a bountiful catch and return home safely.
So off the back of losing my vessel in November last year, the blessing means even more this year, and you know, nothing's guaranteed in life. At least we look forward to that day and take that forward.
So back in the day you were given a little bouquet and your number was on a bit of cardboard, and that was just pinned to your dress.
I don't think it's so much as a dated concept. I think it's a community event that people look forward to.
Well, we had 28 last year.
So 1985, I think the Blessing of the Fleet was in April, Easter of course, and I decided to enter because all my friends were as well. It was one of those things that I certainly didn't expect to win. Thanks very much. As a 15-year-old, it opened up my world. It really did, and as a result of the confidence that I got from doing that and the ongoing events after that as a Blessing of the Fleet Princess, it made such a huge difference. So I think that even though not much has changed, it's still a wonderful thing for our young people to take part in.
The parade component to the festival it's very rare, it's quite unusual. I mean, most festivals these days, they're all about music and rides and stalls, but the parade, it's very special. For something to be going for that long, it's not going to disappear from people's memories in a hurry. And I think once that green light comes on, it'll be like turning on a light switch, and it'll be bang, straight back into it.
A bit sad and sorry over the last year and again this year, unfortunately, but I think that come 2022, we'll be back on the mark again, and people will be happy to see us back too. So
we've got our fingers crossed for 2022, and maybe that'll be the year of another comeback.
It's a big part and a big festival, and it benefits everybody in the town.
I'm determined to make it happen for 2022 because it's a 65-year tradition. It's a rite of passage in this town. It's a very important part of the heart of this town. Traditions are important, you know, and I think if we lose too many traditions, then why are we here?
We can see the bonds of friendship that we made that were forged under fire. What we can never know, and we will never get a grasp on, is the depth of the mental hurt and anguish that is carried, that burden that is carried by our community today. We're only ever one breath away from a change in our own circumstances, and boy did our circumstances change in 2019 and 2020.